Okay, and also, let's see, Paul Abramson, right there, name's in front of me here, senile. They say the mind is the first thing to go. Of all the things I've lost in life, I think I miss my mind the most, probably. Uh, but he'll be talking about all the flood legends and stuff like that, and Don Boy's speaking. Anyway, Fort Worth, this Sunday we leave. This won't be posted till I get there, will it? I leave tomorrow morning, drive all day, get there tomorrow night. It'll be posted. I speak Sunday in Fort Worth. Get on drdino.com and get all the details there. If you're anywhere near Fort Worth, Texas, come on out. Still need some ropes and cargo nets for the Netosaurus and a bunch more license plates. And tell your friends and enemies to subscribe. Okay, I got into the question folder and started at the back, the one that's been languishing in here the longest. I thought, oh no, this is going to take all night. So I'm just going to go real quick on this one question. From last October, Carolina writes in, I was watching a few of your videos regarding taking the mark of the beast and whether Christians should take this mark. As you point out, its purpose, as mentioned in Revelation, will be to buy or sell so as to function in society like we currently do by using paper currency and bank cards. I'm in the UK, and I assume in the US as well, you use the chip and PIN technology, where you simply tap your bank card on a card machine with no need to enter your PIN number anymore to purchase goods. In London, it operates everywhere. You simply tap your card. It's coming soon. You tap your hand to buy or sell. So I'm very much in agreement with what you say about how it will work, and I'm confused about you not being clear on whether a Christian can take the mark and be able to operate in society. So what is this mark of the beast? Can a Christian take the mark? Let me tell you everything I know about it and see what you think. The mark of the beast is mentioned, if you want to check in the book of Revelation, the only place I'm aware it's mentioned, Revelation 13, 13, 14, 14, 15, 16, 19, and 20. It says in Revelation 13, he causeth all, and quite obviously the he is talking about the devil in this case, if you go back and read the previous chapter, the devil caused.
Oh, there we go. I think you can hear me now. Okay, good deal. Sorry about that, guys. Gosh, I'd say we'd start over. No, you know what? We don't. I'm not gonna put you through that. But so you guys can hear me now. Everything's good. Let me know in the chat. Okay. All right. So we're gonna play this again. Forgot what he said.
Both small and great, rich and poor, free and
Let's
bond,
rewind this just a little bit.
in their right hand. He causeth all, and quite obviously the he is talking about the devil in this
Whoa, whoa, whoa. The devil?
case. If you go back and read the previous chapter.
Okay, if you go back and read the previous chapter, the dragon in chapter 12 is obviously Satan. But the beast he's mentioning in 13 verse 16, no. For one, there's not one mention of the word beast in all of chapter 12. But let's see if if the beast in 13 is also this star-tossing dragon from heaven. Okay, this is strange because there seems to be two beasts in chapter 13 in addition to the dragon. The first beast rose from the sea and it had 10 horns. So does the dragon. Okay, so it's possible. The beast has 7 heads. The dragon has 7 heads. They both have 7 heads. One wore 7 crowns on their 7 heads, and the other one wore 10 crowns on their 7 heads. Horns. I'm sorry, horns, not their heads. They wore the crowns on their horns. Okay, I mean, I know that John Patmos was going a little bit crazy in solitary. But then in 13 verse 2, it says that the beast was like a leopard with the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. And then the dragon, whoa. And then the dragon gave the beast his power and throne and great authority. So it's already clear, Kent, that the dragon in chapter 12 and the beast in 13 that you just mentioned, they're two completely different animals. But they're probably the same kind, though. Am I right? But there's still the second beast to contend with. Revelations 13:11 says that he saw another beast rise out of the earth that had two horns. Verse 16 tells you quite plainly that the second beast, not the dragon, not the first beast, but the second beast, required the people to receive the mark, which was the image of the first beast, as outlined in verse 15. So, in short, no, the he in verse 16 is not the devil. Geez, we barely started, Kent. Give me a break.
Causes everybody, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand. Nearly every other Bible version has changed in to on. Check your Bible. If it says on instead of in, throw it away and get a real Bible.
Or you could just recognize that the Greek epi is kind of interchangeable there, and in. I mean, if you say that you have a bird in your hand and two in the bush, or bird in the hands with two in the bush, you don't actually have a bird inside of your hand, do you, Kent? I mean, it's like it's in your hand. It doesn't mean it has to be in your hand. So cool down with that literal interpretation.
This is from the King James. By changing one letter, they completely change the meaning. Does the mark go in the hand or on the hand? Pat Robertson was interviewing the guy who owns, I forget what corporation it is that makes the microchips, little bitty microchips. And Pat said, now, sir, people are concerned about this little microchip you make because the Bible talks about, the mark of the beast. Could this be the mark of the beast? And he said, this was 15 years ago. He said, oh, no, Pat. Our little chip will be implanted in the hand. Open your Bible and read it. So what did they just say? Pat Robertson opened his NIV or whatever he's got, and it says the mark goes on the hand.
So this was 15 years ago, and you're pretty convinced that this is it. Is he just taking his time, or what? Because the time that all this is happening in Revelation is pretty late. As a matter of fact, it's right before the second coming, or the tribulation, or whatever you want to call it. So I mean, it's not like this is like the events really building up to it. You're talking about something that's been years and years off, that people have been talking about for at least, I know, 30 years. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Put food in 5-gallon buckets and wait for Jesus.
And he told his people in the listening audience, see, folks, it's okay. This little microchip goes in the hand. It will be okay to take it. The mark is going to go in the right hand or in their forehead. Now,
wait, has anybody ever heard of anybody getting a microchip implanted in their forehead? I mean, I have heard of the subdermals, like the RFID chips, where people can unlock their phones, they can start their cars, they can unlock the doors in their home, they can turn lights on, things of that nature. Just things that basically are passive, but they require a reader. But once that reader picks up on it, and it passes within a few inches or feet, or however strong your transponder is, and it does something like that. But this isn't. I don't know. There's this whole conspiracy about control in this new world order that Kent loves to preach on, that just makes it seem like everybody's just out to get us, and that they just want to plant us with these chips. And he talks about how small they are and how easily they could put them inside of us. Well, buddy, if it's that easy, I got bad news for you. You've got at least 20 of them.
change one letter on purpose, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here's the Hovind theory. Couldn't prove this to anybody. This is just what I suspect. There will be three classes of citizens: those who have the mark, those who have the name, and those who have the number.
Yeah, you're reaching, buddy. I agree with you there. You have no substantiation for that. That's a very weak foundation for that claim. But it sounds good. I'll give that to you.
Maybe that's different levels of who's president, who's congressman, and who's peons.
Oh, is this like the whole George Soros? What is it? The Koch brothers and all that. The Jews are trying to take over and stuff like that. I know that's what you're into, Kent.
I don't know, but there looks to me like there's three different options here. You can have the mark, or the name, or the number of his name. Hovind theory. Next verse. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding.
Hashtag Hovind theory. Because according to Hovind, theories aren't shit.
Count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 score and 6. Well, a score means 20. Abe Lincoln said 4 score and 7 years ago, 87 years ago. Score means 20, like dozen means 12. So 3 score would be 60. The mark of the beast the number is going to be 666.
Wow, you got that. That's awesome. There are some translations that say 616, and I'll actually wait a little bit to tell you why that is, or why I believe that is. Let's keep going.
All through the Bible, you see this number 6 referring to man. Man was made on the 6th day. Goliath was who was 6 cubits and a span. That would be Goliath, 6 cubits tall. Goliath's brother had 6 fingers on his hand. But you see, usually the number 6 is kind of symbolic of man. Bobby, did you see a blue hardback book, paper cover, kind of a big one?
Kent Hovind's always looking for a book. He's always looking for a book.
Biblical numerology when you organize the library. Biblical numerology. That's a book I had in college. There's only 10,000 books in here. Anyway, how many have ever seen one of these before?
Yeah. Oh, don't do it, Kent. Don't do it.
Back in 1972, well, actually started to be put into production. There are several lines before the 2 in the middle. These 2 hang down below. Interesting. These 4 hang down below the rest of them. And then at the end, there are some that hang down below. When it first came out, if you can find something made in 1972, if you still have something around the house built in 72 that has this mark on there, I'd like you to take some pictures and send it to me. Because usually, it'll start with a 6 right here, because 2 skinny lines is the computer code for 6. This one.
No, Kent. 2 skinny lines is not computer code for anything. It's not even computer code. I guess you could call it Morse code if you want, or binary turned into Morse code. But each number is designated by 7 lines. Just so happens that with 6s, when they're on the right-hand side, on the produce side, on the itemized side of that middle bar, then there are 2 black bars, but there are also 5 white bars. You see that one in between the 2, and then the 4 to the right of it. Let's see. Let's keep going.
2 skinny lines would have a 6, and this one would have a 6. They quickly realized.
No, again, you don't have the 4 spaces. You have an infinite amount of spaces to the right of those 2. So you have nothing to designate an end, so the laser reading it would not pick up on it as being a 6.
Oh no, people might think this is the mark of the beast, and so they left off the 6. But this computer that scans this thing, the first half of it is dedicated to the product and the manufacturer so they can keep an inventory. Like let's say this is Lay's potato chips, okay? So the scanner reads this and says, oh, this came from Lay's Corporation.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, I'll let that slide.
So there's 2 different ways to make the number 1. One for the corporation and one for the local store.
That's right. You have numbers on each side of them are going to be mirrored. So whichever of those empty spaces are white on the left, they will be black on the right. In mirror, of course, in inverse.
So the store can program this part in, and they can keep an inventory of how many bags of Lay's potato chips they have and automatically order more. Whereas this one, so that's why there are 2 different ways to make each of the numbers. I'll show you in a second. They've now scrambled it up with this. It's the same concept, though. The computer's reading this thing like lightning.
Whoa. Wait, you can't just go and drop a VR code like that and just not say anything else about it and go right back to the barcodes. Like, what do you mean it's lightning fast? Like, what is that? What does that mean? Does that mean that it's more evil because it's faster? I mean, I have pretty crap internet. Yours looks okay. So, is my internet holier than yours, or is it maybe it's entropy? I don't know.
In computer language, 0 is made by writing 0001101 or 1110010. See, this is what binary code. The computer reads that. Okay.
It's the inverse. That's correct. It is binary in the sense that it is 2 numbers. It is a 0 or a 1. The 0 being designated by a white space and a 1 being designated by a black bar.
So there are 2 different ways to make a 0, 2 different ways to make a 1, 2 different ways to make a 2. All of the numbers.
2 different ways to make a 6.
And the computer reads all that like lightning, okay? Right, on, off, right, black or white, on or off. So, 6, if you look here carefully, can be made with a skinny line and a real fat line, which is, black.
Right. Okay, cool. Okay, so he concedes that there's more than one way to make a 6. Cool, thank you.
The on or the off? Whatever it is, it's okay. And
Black on.
2 skinny lines with a single space between it. That's how they make the 6. And so all the barcodes of this style start with a 6, have a 6 in the middle, and a 6 at the end.
No, Kent. Buddy, you just conceded that the 6 is inverse on the opposite side. So how can the 6 be the same on both the center and the 2 outsides? How can they both be 6s when you just conceded that 1 on the left side would consist of a short line and 4 fat lines separated by a single white space. I
Now somebody's going to comment and argue and say, oh no, that's just the on-off switch to switch over to the other code. And it just happens to be identical to the number
well, that's not what I said at all. So there you go.
6. Okay, believe what you want. I'm just simply pointing out for the record, Your Honor, this is the code for 6.
Well, and I'm just pointing out, Your Honor, your willful ignorance in ignoring this because it suits your narrative for the 2 skinny lines to represent a 6, so you can fulfill your little price tag prophecy of 666, which is absolutely absurd. But we're going to keep doing this.
Right? Barcodes such as these have already appeared in some Midwestern stores. This is back from 1990. Esquire magazine, 1990, 30 years ago.
Esquire magazine, 1990. Gosh dang it, you got my attention. That sounds very compelling. What do you got for me?
Now everybody's used to it. Nobody thinks about it. F is for forehead.
Wait, that's it? You don't got it? F is for forehead.
H is for hand.
H is for hand.
Had an F or an H on there.
Oh, did they? Because I found this website where you got this stuff from, and this is just a bunch of crazy conspiracy crap that I cannot find anywhere else. Literally, you took screenshots from it. I'm not even sure if you believe this yourself, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you how foolish you are in passing on somebody else's bad scholarship.
I don't think they have that anymore. So the computer can tell, oh, is this coming off the person's forehead or off their hand? That's how it started out. 1972, they developed the code with the 6, the 6, and the 6.
You heard him, guys. That's how it started out. Forehead or the hand, 666. Okay.
And they used to have, am I reading this from the forehead or the hand? They don't do that anymore. There's a...
So they don't do that anymore. They did that 40 years ago, Kent, 50 years ago, but they just stopped doing it because the Antichrist just gave up. Right? They're gonna try a different route. Barcodes didn't work. Let's go with microchips. Yeah.
Southern Baptist Sunday School lesson from 1995, 24 years ago. They said you should take your pets into the vet and get them microchipped. They can inject a little chip in your pet, and they'll be able to tell how many of you ever heard of pets getting microchipped. It's very common now. The farmers can do that to all their cows, and they can read it from the sky.
They can't? They can read it from the sky?
Tell where all the cows are, how many are left, what's going on. They can manage their herd. Technology's gone nuts in the last 30 years.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, you can even feed the cows with these microchips. You know, you just turn the microchips on and you just move them like a little remote control. It's like the ultimate RC car. It's awesome.
That help manufacture these chips. I talked to Carl many times. I think he died now, but they used to build the chips. They built them. I said, Carl, tell me about your little chips.
Whoa. Carl Sanders was one of your best friends, right? Didn't you just say that? But he might be dead. He might be dead. And you're posting his P.O. box, the city he lives in, his phone number, and 2 alternate methods of contacting him. And you don't even know if this guy's alive. And you are posting this information up on your presentation as if it's supposed to be compelling, and then you just go and tell everybody, oh, he might be dead. Okay, so we don't even need to bother with Dean Martin and Gary Fry then, because Carl Sanders is obviously your #1 draft pick.
He said, well, they're in a glass case, a bitty chip like this. He said, one end is Teflon coated so that when we inject it under the skin, this body grows to it and holds it right there. Otherwise, if it's glass, it'll float around in the body. He said, we make them. He said, we got a call from the government to say, would you please see what it would take to put a battery in that chip? Because the problem is the chip gets, goes bad. It'd be like a lithium battery put in there. So they were working on a lithium battery, and they said, now here's an extra $1 million. We want you to do some research and find out which part of the body changes temperature the most. Because with temperature change, it'll recharge the little battery. Any mother could have told him, where do you check for a fever on a kid? Where do you check for a fever? On the forehead or on the hand?
No. As a matter of fact, you ask most doctors, and they will tell you that the most accurate place of testing temperature is going to be rectally, in the mouth, armpit. I can think of a couple of better places. I mean, you got to think about how hard it is to regulate the temperature in your hand and on your forehead, the two most exposed areas for people who wear clothes. Let's just put it that way. I mean, the gymnastics that you're going through, the hoops that you're bending to get through is just, it's comical.
So they did all the research and found out your right hand changes temperature more than your left hand because it's a little further from the heart.
Say what? Are you shitting me right now? Kent.
A little further to go, so your right hand has a little greater temperature change. So Carl said, I would suggest if you're going to put this in a person, you put it in their forehead or in their hand. That's what changes temperature. In their right hand. That's what changes temperature the most. That's what Carl told me. Anyway.
Okay, that's what Carl told you. So that's got to be truth, right, buddy? I'll tell you what. Earlier with the with the tag, like with the barcode, I can let you get away with the UPC. I can let you get away with that. But dude, you are a Blues Clues pad away from a gold star, and you're just not quite getting it because you cannot separate yourself away from it. You can't separate yourself from the framework that you've built around yourself. You've literally cemented yourself into a hole that you can't get out of, and you can only get to the edge and bark. That's all that you can do. You can't see the elephant if your nose is so firmly planted against its backside. You need to step back so you can see the whole thing, Kent. But maybe you don't want to. Maybe you've grown accustomed to this obligation. Or maybe you do want to admit that you've misunderstood some things about the young Earth creation and these things that are so deeply rooted in this fantasy that you've created, this mud to man fantasy, that you're now committed to this kind of intellectual dishonesty. I would really like to see you make some budges in some areas that everybody can see that you want to move in, but you cannot because you have just structured your framework in such a way that you have very much so limited yourself in what you can and cannot believe.
The Mark of the Beast, the New World Order, that book's in here someplace. Terry Cook writes extensively on this. This is clear back from the 90s when I put these slides together. I'll show you the new stuff in a minute, so you can send your $500 that you promised, okay? Magically, almost a wave of this wand buys your item. Somebody's seen the little chip you can put on your keychain, go up to get the gas, touch the gas pump, and gas your car up. How many seen those before? It's common, right? Put that little thing on your keychain, and that is now your credit card. This is from 20 years ago.
Okay, I said I wasn't going to say anything about Carl, but I got to. So, Dr. Carl Sanders, from what you had screenshotted from, was the only reference that I could find to Carl Sanders at first. And it referenced him as Dr. Carl Sanders. So I'm looking for a Dr. Carl Sanders. Cannot find him. And it's a Dr. Carl Saunders. Can't find him either. But then I found something interesting. Found something really interesting. You made a scientific claim because someone told you it was true. Something to do with fluctuation of temperature because one hand being closer to the heart or something crazy like that. And you believed him because he told you it was true. Well, let me tell you something about Dr. Carl Sanders. Carl did not invent the RFID as claimed on the site that you took your screenshots from. He was never even around the stuff. Or if he was, then he went through great lengths to cover it up for some reason. Because none of the documents that he uploaded trying to prove that he was actually a doctor even suggest that he was a doctor. Okay, he has some things where he graduated the Air Force, where he graduated some special trade school, where he got an honorary doctorates for all the hard work that he's put in. But he didn't claim that he was a doctor. It was just a nickname. Do you have a nickname, Kent? I would like to know what your nickname is. No, but Carl did work. He worked for RTE, which was an IT company, which led to his job with General Electric. And with General Electric, he was a field engineer during the testing of the GE 265 system, which was one of the first successful time-sharing systems. But no microchips, no New World Order, no flying around and rubbing it with the secret guys in the dark rooms and the baby sacrifices. Nothing. What you heard, you literally heard a man with an elementary level of something that was already invented talking about it and claiming to have found it because he presented you with new information that you had never heard before and you found it compelling and you believed him. Now, it didn't take me much research to find out that he was full of it. And it didn't take me much research to find out that these claims that you're making are just screenshotted from these conspiracy websites, these New World Order, the Jews are taking over, the we need to get a bunker and go and hide out, this crazy, for the lack of a better term, this crazy evangelical redneck business that is just rampant in the southern U.S., and it is just awful. Anyways, I'll let you keep talking because you're doing a great job here.
Is human chip implant way of the future? 1999, this article. Technology gets under the skin. Here's a guy who said, I'm going to...
Whoa. You're just going to go ahead and drop an article, and you're going to say, oh, it's from 1999. Like, I haven't seen anything that you presented that's after 2002. But let's go back to that article, the one that you just mentioned. That was Professor Kevin Warwick. He's the director of cybernetics at the University of Reading in the UK, and he became the first human to host a microchip on August 24th, 1998. It says here that he imagines being able to help paraplegics walk to start with. So he had great ambitions. So he put the implant in himself. Let's see, where did he put it? Let's see, did he put it in the right hand or in his forehead? Right hand or forehead? Oh, here we go. Warwick said, it's well inside my body, in my left arm, just above my elbow. Well, that's not what Revelation says. What's going on here, Kent? Man, this is supposed to be like big stuff. This is supposed to be like end of the world news. The first guy to ever do this. He does it to himself, and he puts it in his left arm above the elbow. What kind of antichrist is he? Can't believe this.
DigitalAngel.net. I'm going to put it under. The Digital Angel was the company interviewing Pat Robertson. Okay. He said, "Oh yeah, I can put this chip under my skin, and I can do all kinds of things that I don't longer need a credit card."
Okay, all these kind of things that you're talking about, again, they are passive. There are very few active things that we can do with these chips. And with what you're talking about with the RFID chips, they're not the smart chips that you see in the phones that can hold all the information. What you're talking about here is something that can be read, something that can be interacted with, but it's nothing that can do the interacting for the most part.
Had his house all set up when he walked into a room and turned the lights on.
Exactly. You walk into the house and the lights turn on. It's because he is entering a field where a reader is, and it's recognizing his RFID chip, so it's a proximity thing. This isn't like he's like, oh, I just want the lights to come on, so just boom, and just magic them on for you real quick. This isn't the Bible, Ken. This is the real world.
How to turn the lights off. All because of a microchip. Then they invented back in 2001 the Mu chip. That's the chip right there. Who knows how small they've gotten now? Does anybody know? Are they smaller than that?
Yeah, they're so much smaller than that. Like they're so much smaller than that. As a matter of fact, you have thousands of them in you right now because they're just all day just blasting you with these tiny little chips.
Put the chip on the dollar bill, the size of a fly spot.
They had to take it home with a microscope to find it.
So your friend had two.
They couldn't find it with a microscope. They had to put one of them in the microwave, and it burnt a hole under George Washington's eye. And they looked on the other bill, and there was a fly spot there.
A fly spot under George Washington's eye.
So he noticed a fly spot. I don't know. I wonder what kind of test you have to pass to get in this room. To get in that room and just stay in there with Kent Hovind while he does the video, I wonder what kind of test you have to pass.
I'm repeating it so they can hear it here.
And then they took a real powerful magnifying
and they could see the chip. But the chip caused the sensor at the airport to go off, indicating this is marked money. So apparently somebody had taken it as payment for ransom or something, and they track the money and find the person. So how would you know if you had some?
You have to put all your money in the microwave.
Well,
I guess. I don't know.
all right, guy.
Here's a kid real proud of himself. He's going to get a microchip in his skin. Again, this is from 25 years ago, okay? The chip was injected with a 12-gauge needle.
Okay, again, 25 years ago, Kent. So why are you still harping on this? Like, do you think that the pager is the mark of the beast? Do you think that the cell phone is the mark of the beast? No, because these things are convenient to you. These are things that you use every day. I don't see you griping about better internet speeds or better quality Hawaiian shirts. But for some reason, you're complaining about better technology that can be that can be used more effectively and more safely. It can be administered more safely.
Someone gave me a bag of 500 of those little chips. I don't know where they all are now. Just here, but I hope you can use these for dip.
Somebody gave you a bag of 500 and you don't know where they are right now? I bet I know where you stuck every single one of them.
These little chips. Microchip implant. Could this be the mark of the beast? Well, if you look at the Greek for the word mark there in Revelation 13, you can look it up at Strong's number 5516 or 4742 or 4743. Stigma. The Greek alphabet between the 5th and 6th used as numbers, denoting specifically 600, 60, and 6.
Oh, okay. Okay, wow. Nope. No, 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 no. No. Both stigma and charygma have, or cragma, I'd have to look it up. It's either charygma or cragma. They both have the same root word, but one of them means more like a character, the one that's mentioned here, charagma. It's used to signify like an image or a likeness of somebody, or an etching, or a carving, or a marble bust, or something like that. It's a likeness or a caricature of that person. I mean, gosh, you are reaching so far, like you just completely missed the page.
666. You could use microchips to mark sex offenders. Welcome to Arkansas, the natural state, home of President Bill Clinton. In compliance with Megan's law, above is a known sex offender.
I wonder if they have a tax sign. Wouldn't that be great?
Corporation is big in this stuff, pushing to get everybody in the new money system. This is from, again, 25 years ago.
Again, from 25 years ago. Who's ever heard of Mondex? They're like a MasterCard spin-off. Anybody ever heard of Mondex? How many of you out there are pimping Mondex? Or better yet, how many of you are, what is it, that the Fuel Pass wand or whatever that he just showed up there from 1999? You know, who's still rocking one of those when they go to McDonald's?
All the countries that were rushing to get this chip technology to eliminate cash. There's a long, interesting story I just Googled today. Which country will be the first cashless country in the world? And it came up, Sweden is already there, or real close to there. Denmark and Norway are coming next. Cashless payments.
Okay, I don't understand, Kent. What is so wrong with cashless payments? I don't understand. You already have plastic. Everybody has plastic. So what is wrong with them using that plastic in lieu of something else, something that's safer, something that if somebody steals, they can shut off? Somebody steals your cash, that's it. Like, for instance, if you weren't to pay your taxes on a whole bunch of money for a few years, and you just like withdrew a bunch of money, like say like 70,000, then I mean that would be a problem, right? Because nobody could do anything about that. But you know, without cash, then you wouldn't have been able to do that, and everything would be legal. So we could argue that that's a good thing.
The clear Scandinavian leaders, the first cashless country is Sweden. China is mad about QR codes. UK is all about contactless. And they give a big article about cashless. Now, Dr. Cook, 25 years ago, he lectured on this topic all over the place about the New World Order. His assessment of the coming New World Order under the United Nations is that it will reduce everything to one common denominator. The system will be made up of a single currency. The bankers have been wanting this for centuries. Control the money. A single tax system, a single language, a single political system, a single world court of justice, single head, one individual leader, a single state religion. This is what Nimrod tried when they got, after the flood.
You're absolutely right. We see a lot of parallels. You see parallels with David, with a lot of the prophetic books, because that's what New Testament that's what New Testament authors do, is that they tie everything back in. But here we are 2,000 years later, and the only way that we're closer to a single religion or a single currency or a single political system is because of the evangelical right. Actually, I would just say because of fundamental religion, period.
God said, spread out. He said, no, we're staying here. Nimrod tried to get his one world order, and God confounded the languages. And for the last 4,400 years, they've had a hard time getting together to make a one world government.
Okay, so for the last 4,400 years, they just had a really hard time. Like, they just haven't been able to communicate. Like, they just had no way of communicating. Like, oh, we can't talk. That's it. Gotcha.
That's what they're working toward now. One world government.
4,000 years later. Gotcha.
He further said, each person will have a registered number without which he will not be allowed to buy or sell.
You mean kind of like Nero did in Rome, right?
And there will be one universal world church. Anyone Anyone who refuses
You mean kind of like there was in Rome, right?
to take part in this universal system will have no right to exist. You might have seen the commercial. Everybody's dancing through the store, paying for their stuff with a card.
Okay, before you start with all this futuristic stuff, you're aware of Nero and his persecution to the Christians, right? And you're aware of the authorship of this book and how it took place after this. I mean, it even accounts how long he was in power. I believe it says 42 months, which is how long he was in power. And you're still sitting here trying to say, oh, well, it's not, it couldn't be a contemporary. It couldn't be somebody that was living at the same time in the same area. It's got to be credit cards. It's got to be.
And one guy walks up with cash, and everything crashes, and all the, yeah. Everybody's dancing through the store, having a wonderful time, getting their stuff, walking by, paying for, touching their card, and one guy says, "I like to pay cash." Oh, and everything falls apart. It's all psychological preparation for the cashless society. Right. They say we're intolerant. Of course, they're intolerant of those who are intolerant.
You know what? I just go ahead.
Oh, one and only one. There are already stores that have signs up like this: "No cash accepted." We can only take plastic at this time. Sorry, no cash.
Okay, again, why is that a bad thing? I don't understand. How is that any closer to the New World Order? Plastic, we only accept plastic at this time. Nobody is injecting, their visas.
Cashless society. It says in Revelation 13:17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Okay, so this is really kind of coincidental because around this same time, Nero made his official coins, and it became the official currency of Rome. This is something that was looked back on by John of Patmos, by the author of Revelation. He saw the turmoil that the people were going through. He saw that they just needed a confidence booster, and he was in prison. So what does he do? He writes to the 7 churches. Which oddly enough are the some of them are the 7 hills around Rome, which are signified by the 7-headed monster. But that's neither here nor there. But I mean, you're not even recognizing the symbolism here. You're not recognizing the apocalyptic language here. You have no problem thinking that a 7-headed beast rose out of the sea, and he had 10 horns, or he had 10 crowns on 7 horns, and there was another beast, and he taught him how to play hopscotch, and then they had an arm wrestling competition, and then one became the supreme beast or something like that. I mean, for crying out loud, you can't even differentiate between the dragon and the beast. Please tell me you get that now.
In chapter 14, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone. So the question is, can a Christian receive the mark and still go to heaven?
Well, if you're looking at receiving as if it can be as if it's going to be requested, receiving something doesn't have to be willing. For example, they use the same word for receive when a slave is receiving their lashes. So it's not something that is necessarily consensual. It's just something that they are receiving. Literally.
It says, if you worship the beast and his image and receive his mark, you will drink of the wine of the wrath of God, and shall be tormented with fire and brimstone. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Now in Revelation 16, he said, I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. Now I have written a book on the topic and have had to change my theology.
Holy shit, he's written a book on the topic. Okay, and he changes theology. Okay, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what he's got.
For 20 years, where's my book? No.
The SpongeBob book. Oh, okay.
But what on earth is about to happen for him? Here it is right here. Okay, the woe book. I used to believe we get raptured out before the tribulation. I no longer believe that. I wish it was true. It's not true. We're here for tribulation. We are not here when the wrath of God falls. 1 Thessalonians 1, God's children are not appointed unto wrath. There's a difference between wrath and tribulation. I cover it very carefully in here. If you want to get the book about what the future
Oh my gosh, can't.
What is about to happen, starting soon. But we are appointed to tribulation. We're not appointed to wrath. Wrath is what God does to the world. We don't get that. But we do receive tribulation.
Can't we are of the world? Everything that is worldly affects us. Everything. The entire reason that we have sin, according to you, the entire reason that there is an entropic, uh, 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 everything seems entropic to you, uh, it is because of the idea that worldly things are bad. That you have things that are of heaven, that are heavenly, that are good and holy, and you have things of this earth that are foul and that corrupt. I mean, you say it yourself.
John 16:32, I think. Okay. And the first went out and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. Carl Sanders, when he were talking about the microchip that he made, he said, Kent, I tried to explain to them that this lithium battery, if you put lithium under your skin and it breaks, the lithium will cause a huge, awful sore. Tom, do you know anything about lithium in the system?
Okay, so I found another study where people were actually doing these tests, and there was an instance where lithium did leak out, and there was an instance of poisoning, and they did document these things, but it was not Carl Sanders, and it was in the early 2000s. I can link that down in the description below. As a matter of fact, I can link all of this down, everything that you copied and pasted from. Well, not even copied and pasted, just straight up screenshotted from. So, I mean, I can totally do that. That's fine.
Cause a giant blister, and one theory is these little microchips will have the lithium batteries in it, go in the right hand or forehead. They'll have a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image.
No, what this is he didn't have it until after he poured out his vial. So this is a curse. He is cursing them. Okay, this has nothing to do with whether or not they have the mark, unless you're talking about like it's reactionary or something like that. My goodness, yeah, that face right there, that is my face. Just this whole video, just what the.
What it says in Revelation 16. Okay, verse 19, chapter 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. This is where they war against Jesus Christ. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast. And them that worshipped his image.
Okay.
These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. Revelation 20, the last mention of the mark. And I saw thrones, and they that sat on them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, and for the word of God, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
Okay, so what I find funny, Kent, and kind of hypocritical, is you have no problem with Jesus writing his name on our hearts or upon our foreheads, or putting his seal on us, writing our name in the Lamb's Book of Life, whatever you want to call it, whatever hyperbole you want to dig into. But it's so funny because in this instance, it has to be the way you say it is, because you have a narrative and you have to stick with it, because people, boy, this riles people up, doesn't it? This gets people excited, and you like it. And I know you like it. You like it because people are scared, because people have always been scared of things that they don't know. It was stem cell research. It was cloning. It was in vitro fertilization, for crying out loud. Just things that we don't understand. Fundamental evangelists like yourself and your followers like to get their panties in a knot because, well, this makes me uncomfortable.
Now, the Muslims teach their people that when their Messiah comes, he's going to have everybody receive a mark in the forehead, and they're anxious to get it. So when somebody comes along and says you have to have this mark in your forehead, they're going to be excited about it.
Well, so are the Christians. The Christians are also expected to have a mark on their forehead, and they're very excited about it.
And they're going to want to cut off the head of anybody that won't take the mark. To this day, you watch, a dedicated Muslim will bow down, put his forehead on the ground, and pray to Mecca 5 times a day, and they will actually push hard with their head against the ground, trying to cut off the circulation, because it makes a spot on their forehead that's a different color than the rest of their skin. And they'll see each other with this spot, and they'll say, oh, you've been praying, you're a dedicated, you're a holy man, you've been praying hard for a long time.
Yeah, it's called piety. I mean, take a look in the mirror, buddy.
They push their forehead to the ground to try to get that spot on their forehead. Watch carefully in the news, the people that come on there. You'll see dark spot or light spot in their forehead from pushing hard. Another story. But they're already being taught. If you see someone who won't receive the mark and upsets the world currency and upsets our system, we have to cut off their head.
Oh, are they taught that? Because I'm pretty sure that's not the teaching. I'm pretty sure that is again, supporting your narrative. So you go ahead and twist that lie the way you want.
They have no right to live. They cannot be here. So those who did not receive the mark had their head cut off, and they lived and ruled and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. So they give up their life here and get the bonus prize of the 1,000-year millennial kingdom. That's all the mentions of the mark. Now, Mark chapter 8.
So was that 1,000 years ago? Or was that when Nero was persecuting the Christians? Or has that happened yet? Because we're talking about they reigned with him for 1,000 years. And you're talking about all this stuff happening soon. We're talking about 1,000 years. And you do believe in a literal 6-day creation, right? So I take it you don't believe in this whole eons and thousands of years it taking for this to happen. No? I mean,
They reasoned among themselves, saying, is it because we have no bread? Because Jesus said, hey, do you have any bread? And when Jesus
you got any bread?
He said unto them, why reason ye because ye have no bread? Perceive ye not yet, neither understand, neither ye have ye in your heart yet. Is your heart hardened? Having eyes see ye not, and having ears hear ye not, and do ye not remember? Jesus talking to his disciples. When I break the 5 loaves among 5,000, how many baskets full of fragments took ye up? They said unto him, 12. And when the 7 among 4,000, how many baskets full of fragments took ye up? And they said, 7. And he said unto them, how is it ye do not understand?
Oh man, that is some symbolism right there. Like, psh, wow. I mean, come on, really? Come on.
He's telling them, guys, why are you worried about bread and food and raiment and clothing? I can take care of all of that. Now, there are many times in the Bible where there were famines. Children of Israel going across the desert for 40 years.
What does that have to do with this at all? Like, you just literally just jumped into the Gospels for no reason. I mean, Jesus appeared to John, I think, in chapter 1. He might have been there through chapter 2. I'm going to have to go and look. But this is truly amusing. Thank you.
God gave them bread from heaven. They had to trust him. We're coming to a time where if you will not receive the mark, you will not be able to buy or sell. I think that's a pretty serious punishment. How long could you?
Well, they thought this was coming too, like, what, 20 years ago, 30 years ago? There were people in my church, older people who died long ago and long before this world would come to an end.
Make it if you were not allowed to buy or sell. What if you went to the store and they said, sorry, no credit cards, no checks, no cash, you have to have a mark in your hand so we know it, you can't be a stolen credit card. How many times do people try to buy things with stolen credit cards today? All the time. Well, that'll stop.
Okay. Well, when that technology is here, you realize that these simple chips, like they can, with the reader, the right reader, you can just take that data off of it, right? Especially if it's just passive, if it's not active.
Sorry, it's got to be a chip. And they're going to sell it as the universal solution to theft. Nobody can steal anymore unless you cut somebody's hand off and right away they run that over the scanner.
Well, or they don't pay their taxes.
Matthew chapter 6. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold the fowls of the air, they sow not, neither do they reap nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit to his stature? And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast into the oven.
Kent, what does this have to do with anything? What? Come on, man. Like, this is just... Let's see. Let's just move on a little bit.
Well, here's the solution.
There we go.
Seek first the kingdom of God.
Yep. There we go. That's the solution.
My philosophy is, I'm going to win souls, as many as I possibly can. I'm going to teach God's word to as many as who will listen. I think God's going to look down and say, oh, there's Hovind trying to do my business. I think I'll feed that guy. And how's that guy? I think I'll take care of him.
Yeah, I think I'll feed him. That homeless vet, that little girl with no parents, living behind a dumpster, the tens of millions of people that are starving and dying of thirst and famine in Yemen right now. Nah, let's feed Kent Hovind.
For him. But God can provide a whole lot for me than I can. I don't want to learn how to be a gardener. I don't have time or interest.
That comes from a very huge place of privilege, because there are people right now who are, their fingers have bled because they have tried to put food on their table. And you come from a position of privilege where you can depend on the money that people line your pockets with while there are other people who are scrapping for that change, and you say, God will provide. I don't have to dig a garden. And by God providing, you mean you can continue to con people out of their hard-earned money.
Everything I plant dies. Now, he said, all these things will I add to you. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. So, in Revelation 15, I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty, just and true are thy ways. Those who don't receive the mark are going to get special bonus prize, earning the 1,000-year kingdom, and special recognition in heaven. So apparently they're going to...
So not only do you get 1,000 years in heaven, but you get to sing the song.
Be Christians who live during the time when they start making that mark mandatory. A guy called me 2 days ago from, was that Kenya or Namibia? One of the African countries, and said they had just passed a law that by midnight everybody had to have a card and a number to stay in the country.
Holy shit. You mean like a citizen? It's crazy.
That's step one toward getting a card or a number.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely step one. I mean, we've had driver's licenses and social security cards for how long now? I mean, where's my chip?
The goal is the same. The approach to get to that goal is slightly different country to country. Spy in the sky, zero in on farm cheats. Satellites can count the number of animals and be sure farmers are not plowing land without permission. This is from 20...
Kent, satellites have been used for everything from handing out traffic tickets to checking plowing farmers to internet. I mean, what are you getting at? Like, it just seems like you are just hand over fist picking cherries as fast as you can.
5 years ago, 1992. The satellite can make sure you're not plowing.
1992. Okay.
Land you're not authorized to plow.
They were taking pictures of our grain bin satellite, and they could tell if the bin's empty, half full, or full.
In Nebraska.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Big brother.
Yeah, because the heat signature.
Big brother flying over, crop dusting.
Okay. All right. Well, so the question is very simple. Can a Christian receive the mark and still go to heaven? I have to answer by saying, I don't know. I wish I had an answer. The Bible says, look.
Thank you. In all seriousness, Ken, if you made it through this video, or if anybody's watching this on his behalf, tell him that I said thank you sincerely from my heart for saying those 3 beautiful words. I don't know. Now stop being so obstinately arrogant in all of your other claims and start saying I don't know more. And not just I don't know, but I'm going to try to find out. Don't just hold to an answer because it's a placeholder, because it makes you feel good, because, hey, it might be right, I don't question it too hard, and everything's groovy, baby, as long as I don't question it, and as long as my sensibilities aren't kicked. Well, we've only had one debate, Kim, but I got bad news for you. I have pulled up a chair, and I am here to stay. I mean, honestly, I guess there's no other way to say it, but either straighten up or I'll straighten up for you. That's just all there is to it. But I would love to actually sit down and talk to you about how you're coming to these conclusions and where you're getting this information from, because everything that I've looked at for your claims are these crazy conspiracy third-party sites with no corroborating accounts, with no with no evidence of any of this, including your friends and your writers of your citations being doctors. I just... but in all seriousness, Kent, say I don't know more. Just try it out and see if that's not just a little bit freeing. See if that's just not just a little bit of weight off your shoulders, that you don't have to go around apologizing for a belief that you hold because it's a placeholder for something that you don't know.
The Bible's real clear. It's not quite as clear as you think. Let me go back to the beginning here where we started. Right here. And see. Right.
I would think that EMP would mess up those chips.
Right. Well, see, that's what the other countries are probably going to do. China will launch, a bomb with the EMP and wipe out our whole electronic cashless society. Yeah. You can do a Faraday cage and prevent that, Thomas.
Oh my gosh, I told you this is like some doomsday prepper stuff. Like, he's like, let's put our food in buckets. Like we're just gonna eat brown rice and dry chicken, and like this is just what we're doing now. So I bet he has drills and stuff. I bet when he just disappears for a week, he's just doing a test run in the bunker, just a test.
Heard about people building Faraday.
That explains why if they do put lithium in the battery, why it would cause everybody to have sores. If an EMP went off, it could break it into the skin remotely.
We'll see. Okay, here is my thought on it. He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name, or the number. I think, again, there'll be three classes of society: the ruling class, the enforcement, maybe the police, and then the peons. And the number 603 score and 6. And I think it is probably something.
Okay. As a Roman citizen, you would either have your papers saying that you were a registered citizen. You would have coins that just by possessing them, you could be convicted of heresy because they are a false idol, so to speak. They are an inscription. They are a likeness of something else. So that's idolatry right there. Or you can have the number 666. Early Jews knew it. Jews today know it. People who study Hebrew today know it. All biblical scholars know it. The 666 signified the consonants in the name of Nero. And the accounts where we have 616 are the accounts where Nero's name has an N added to it, as it was with some of the cultures. They would call him by there's like Neron or something like that, and that would come to 616. So that explains why we have some of those early texts. But I mean, we have the early church fathers. Even we have people like Tertullian, who say that Nero was a beast, that Nero was this animal, that Nero was this horrible person that killed his mom, that raped his prisoners, that would tear off the genitalia of the people that they were holding captive. Just a really horrible person. Many of the church fathers had this to say about him. He was called a beast, that literal word, many times. So yes, this beast that is going against God is most certainly Nero, under the guidance of the dragon in chapter 12, which is Satan, and then you have the one who followed after Nero. But you look at simple things like how long he was in power, how he died, living by the sword, dying by the sword. He killed himself with the help of his, I believe it was his secretary who helped kill him. So I mean, these are all accounts that John is talking back on, and he is building the confidence in the Jewish people and saying, look, like all these things are happening. We've got up scared. We've got up against the ropes. I'm in prison. I'm going to sacrifice myself. I'm going to write you guys these 7 letters, and they were all in the same style. And they all addressed different problems that the churches were having. But he addressed these problems because he was preparing them for the oppression that they would soon face, or had been facing, and would continue to face. Okay, so real quick, since you have this up, let's look at that 6. You see the 2 skinny black lines, right? Okay, and there's 1 white space in between that, so that's 3. And you have 4 white to the right of that. That is a 6. Okay, now let's go over to the right. See that right there? The 2 skinny lines? There's no boundary over here. There's no margin, so there's nothing to cut it off to say that it's a 6. So it wouldn't read as a 6. Let's go to this middle one. You've got the 2 middle lines, the 2 black lines with a white space in between, followed by a white space. So far, so good. Wait a minute. That's not a 6. We've got skinny lines again. Why? Because that's the start of the 6. Why? Because that is a barrier. That is a safeguard. Those are not part of the number. They are not recognized as numbers. And I don't know why you chose to die on this hill. I really don't.
Similar to this computerized digital barcode kind of stuff. We'll see. Okay, let's see. But the verse actually says, if you read it carefully, let me get it right here, that no man might buy or sell. if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. Okay, what do you have to do? You have to worship the beast and the image and receive the mark.
Right. So the ruler himself, his image, which would be his coinnery, and his mark in his forehead or in his hand. You could say that his image could just be him as a person, like him as a ruler, and that which is in his hand would be the whatever had his likeness on there. I mean, you really have to reach, especially with you saying that's three different classes of people. I don't know. It's very revealing. I will say that it does reveal a lot.
Does that mean a Christian can receive the mark and not worship the beast? I honestly can't figure it out. I've studied this till my brain hurts, and I have to say, I don't know.
Holy shit. Kent Hovind said, I don't know. Twice in one video. Well done. I got to give that to him. I got to. Thank you. Now, I don't know if it's because it doesn't serve a theological purpose or because it doesn't matter to you. But I'm just glad that you say, I don't know. Like, that's okay. But what I don't like is that you don't know other things, but you twist things to suit your narrative, and you're just like, huh, that's true now. Like, that's my truth. I don't know. I mean, we can talk about that later, I'm sure.
Oh, I would recommend you do it, right? No, but if a person, what if they start putting these chips in babies?
What if they start putting chips in babies? I would request that they use Cool Ranch Doritos.
Which they've been talking about for decades. Yes, sir?
Or Andy's Hot Fries. Yeah.
Men are also worshiping the image and the beast at the same time. Just by
That's why
action.
I think the verse, to me, is not clear enough to be dogmatic, okay? Many verses, it's easy, you can be dogmatic, but this one has me confused. If you worship the beast and his image and receive his mark, smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest who worship the beast and his image and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. So, if a person has received Christ, they cannot lose that salvation. Not possible. If you could lose it, everybody would lose it every day. My salvation is dependent on what Jesus did. So I mentioned in a seminar a year ago.
Well, it just prima facie, on the surface, it looks like, just right there in verse 11, it says, who worship the beast in his image, and then it says, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. So you can do one or the other, or else you could leave out the whosoever and just say, who worship the beast and his image and receiveth the mark of his name. So to me, this signifies that it's actually talking about one or the other. So if you worship the beast and his image, you're done. If you receive the mark of his name, you're done. That's how I'm seeing it.
I don't know if a person can receive the mark and still go to heaven. To me, like there would be conflicting pictures, and now somebody's circulating rumors around the internet. Hovind doesn't believe the Bible because he said you can receive the mark and still go to heaven. I said then.
They're not the only ones, circulating rumors around the internet, and I don't know how you find these sites, but I don't know if these are your sites, but I really encourage you to do your scholarship on this. Don't just stop at the first thing that you find that makes you feel good or that tickles your fancy, so to speak.
And I'll say again now, I don't have the answer. If you can resolve it, let me know. Looks to me like you got to do three things. So can you receive the mark? You think you can? I don't know.
I'm saying you shouldn't, but
Right. It'll get to where
there's a lot of weak people out there that are.
they're going to receive it. I know. So this is from Carolina. All that to say, I don't know. I wish I did. I would recommend you not, okay? Just to be safe. I know this, if you don't receive the mark and they cut off your head, you get the bonus prize, Revelation 20. Let's see, right?
Basically, you're way ahead of the rest.
Oh, that's not it. Anyway, Revelation 20. Those who did not receive the mark, they get the bonus prize of 1,000-year kingdom, ruling and reigning with Christ. That's pretty clear. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Okay. I guess that's it. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been a real blast for me. I don't know. I knew I wanted to do a Kent Hovind, but I wasn't really sure what to expect. So this was a trip. This was cool. I really enjoyed it. Let me see here. I'm trying to. No, I'm not watching chat. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, if you guys haven't already, please go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. This is my first live video, so I'm sorry for the hiccups. Things will continue to improve. I'll continue to put out original content. It won't be just video responses. And by all means, I would like to ask you guys the question: what do you think the mark of the beast is? If you would leave that in the comments below, I will heart the top comment, or what I think is the top comment, because it's my channel. No, but in all seriousness, thank you all so much. Love you guys. Y'all are awesome. Let's see. Okay, you couldn't hear Hovind. Well, that sucks. Okay, well, I will work on that in the future, and I will work on yeah, I'll work on watching the live chat as well. Okay, but yeah, okay, that is it for now. I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream. Thank you guys so much. If anybody wants to do a live show, just hit me up on Twitter or on Facebook, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.